Kiet, hey, congratulations on the Requin.
Thank you very much.
So tell us where the original idea came from for a film like this. What sparked you to wanting to make this movie?
Uh, uh, First of all, I love shark movies, right? And the genre just really gravitates to me. But I never thought I would make one. But it came about when a lot of I started my career in Vietnam, and after a successful movie, there were a lot of indie financiers that really wanted to see what I wanted to do in LA and Hollywood. And we started to think about ideas, and they just kept on coming back to these shark movies. And I didn't really take it that seriously, but when I went down that path, I started to write it more as a personal take on it, a personal story about grief and loss and survival. And during the time when I was writing it, I was inspired by this Indonesian boy that got swept away in his own hut, and he survived, I think, for about a month, and just in the middle of the ocean, drifting. And he had stories of survival. He met with sharks, and he had to drink out of the dew that was overnight because the whole ocean was basically a desert, right? And that visually was very interesting to me, because you have a sea of water, but you can't drink it, right? You can die drinking it. So all of those things came into this inspiration and script, and I just kind of went down that road rather than trying to do a spectacle or a Sharknado.
I was gonna say, this is when I watched it, I came to realization that it's not just a shark movie; it's more of a survival movie. That's what you were actually
correct.
for.
Yes.
So how did you get into the basic concept of a vacationing couple that gets swept away? I mean, that part was a little bit crazy.
Yeah, I think in this age, everybody's so immediate in their information, and everybody is enticed about what they see, and they don't really do their research, right? Or they want what everybody wants, is this Instagram life, and you want a vacation where this influencer shows them in the middle of the ocean, huts in Fiji, and having a great time, and all this wonderful things. And so I felt that it's a good landscape to kind of put everybody into perspective. Like you can have all that wonderful imagery and positivity, but I just wanted to contrast that with this healing story, this making it a metaphor as a survival, and two couples getting over their grief and their problems with their marriage at the moment. And so they want this, they think that on the surface level it can heal them, but they will be healed, but it's not the way that they think it should be. It's the way nature should be, wants it to be. And so in the end, it's the force of nature that really is the dictator on this.
I was going to say, I have never stayed at any of those seaside bungalows. Can this actually really happen?
Yeah,
would be the biggest question.
I mean, it can happen, right? I mean, nobody saw the Tonga explosion coming up, and next thing you know, a whole island is swept under, just like Pompeii. And so it's not. And I hope people don't associate Southeast Asia to these disasters, because it happens it's inexplicable. You cannot know when it happens or why. It's just it's force of nature.
So when you actually, speaking of your force of nature, when you actually brought trying to film that force of nature happening in your film, how did you wanted to pull that one off? Because obviously, what you couldn't pull this off by filming it at a location. Can you tell us the movie magic? What was this on a set or everything?
More or less. We shot in the middle of a body of water, obviously, to create the correct lighting, and we used a body of water with a wave machine to recreate the waves. Obviously, with this type of production and the safety, and also with our talent, that shooting in the middle of the ocean is just it's just impossible. It's as beautiful as a beach can be. It's just really hard to shoot in nature that you just don't have any control. And even having said that, we went to a very controlled facility and a place, and we were faced with heavy rains and wind and uncontrollable, like lightning, and so you just don't know, right? But we pulled it off because we shot certain things that we needed, but I think it was easier for us to do because we kept it more of a character driven story. It's all about the character and what she's going through, and some of the things that maybe in the background that it's not obviously real as what the Reef did or Jaws did back in those days, but I think the audience could experience it differently because you're with her, you want her to survive, and I think that's where my focus is, in especially where the shots are and the editing.
So in the case when it comes to the open ocean, was that a CGI'd ocean? It was all the actors were safely on a sort of like a set, a tank.
So pool. We had we shot in the Universal City water park, and there was a proper wave machine. But it's a very controlled environment. But the water was real, and it was deep enough for them to perform the way that they did. But the rest was it was replacement of the horizon.
That is great. Now, this is a story-driven, type of thing. It's not like completely focused on the open ocean or the shark. Because tell us about finding the right cast. Obviously, it's a small cast, which is perfect. It should be easy.
Right.
Tell us about finding Alicia and James and why they're perfect for this.
Alicia responded to the material right away, and she was immediately very excited to play it. But once we met and her and I had agreed where to take the character, I think she was very on board enthusiastically, because she was bringing her own personal touches to it. She made it her own. James worked with Alicia before. I forgot what show, but they know each other, and so they were very excited to go on to this adventure with me. And the important thing was they had to understand that this couple has a past that's not going to be shown on scene or displayed. So they really took it upon themselves to really know the history of this couple, and to bring it all up to the point when they need to have that nuance, which is very tough conversations during the time when they were supposed to talk about their grief and the things that is holding their marriage back. And I thought they played it very well. But yeah, I thought they complemented each other very well, and I'm very happy that how it came out, that we've only had two very important characters to get along.
Now, I'm curious, how much, being a Vietnamese director like yourself, how much of this was actually filmed in Vietnam?
A certain amount. We couldn't go. We shot right in the middle of COVID, and it was the most strictest time for travel. Originally, we wanted to actually shoot this in Mexico, but we couldn't even travel there. There were some scenes that we had to be in Vietnam to complement the two, but we had to avoid. We couldn't travel during the COVID times, and for us to be able to bring all of that into this picture, it would have been the budget would have gone up because of the COVID restrictions. And I think during that time, Vietnam didn't even allow anybody to be in there to do a production. But we eventually worked around it. We had some creative shots there that we were able to put in the editing and complement it in there. But you can tell by the story, it's like Vietnam wasn't really my focus either, right? It was the middle of the ocean, and it was the survival of them being lost. So it wasn't the main focus of the movie, in my opinion. Yeah.
So what was the greatest challenge for you?
The weather and working. Yeah, sure enough, it's the weather. And COVID had a hand in there because we had to have less crew. It was during the times where it's not as figured out as it is now. The budget had to complement that COVID protocol, which we took very seriously. We had a few incidences that we had to delay because of positive cases, but we worked through it, and that's one of the things that I wasn't used to in a production. But I think the harder situation was the weather. We were faced with everything from wind to heavy rain. It would literally just rain, and then sunshine would come up in 5 minutes, and then it would rain again in 10 minutes. It's that kind of weather in Florida. And we can obviously shoot in heavy rain because of all of these technicalities. But yeah, water movies, avoid water movies at all costs.
So it sounds like you definitely don't want to do something like this again because of all the logistical nightmares.
I would rather do a James Cameron version of water movie, meaning if he stays down there and he just stays, he doesn't go on the surface. But other than that, it's going to take a bit. Yeah.
That is terrific. Okay, let me wrap it up with one more thing. I mean, okay. A lot of places are starting to open up and being a little bit more friendly towards film. What's coming up next for you?
The Princess. It's a 20th century Disney movie. It's coming out this summer, and it stars Joey King, and she's this princess who fights her way down the tower to save her family, and it's like a Sleeping Beauty and John Wick, but it's coming out this. I'm in the middle of post. We've shot that early last year, and we're just wrapping things up in post right now in London. That's why I'm here in London.
Oh wow, that's terrific. Okay, hey, thank you very much for speaking to us about your film.
Thank you very much.
Everyone should actually definitely check it out, and it's been a pleasure, and hopefully we get to do this again.
Thank you, pleasure.